Yes. And that's the part that I like to get the conversation to. Let's take it off of race, not because I want to lessen what race is, but I want you to get vulnerable and I want you to start speaking honestly. And I
Mhm.
know if we use any race buzzwords, you immediately become triggered and
Yeah.
now you're guarded. So you're not going to give me the information that I can lead you to, who I can get from you to lead you to hopefully healing, right? Because one of the hardest parts of learning is admitting that you're wrong. And
Right.
when you talk about things of race, religion, the treatment of women, it's hard to get people to be vulnerable and say what they truly feel in order to have the conversation that creates the change. Because if you say, you know what, I was raised to believe that so and so is lesser than me, and that's what I thought for the first 23 years of my life. Something happened, it changed. I'm working on it, but I still have some pieces of me that aren't there yet.
Right.
Things that help someone go, okay, well, I see where you're coming from. I can understand and relate to that because guess what? I come from a fairly conservative family too, who thinks this way, who operates that way. And this is what we do. And I know that it's wrong. And I'm making steps to correct myself. But if you never put it out there, no one can ever have the honest conversation that you need to get you where you want to go, which is why I hate cancel culture.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, me and Courtney actually were talking about this earlier. I do feel like some people deserve to get canceled. I mean, there are some things that you
Yes.
can't tell me you didn't know was crazy. But yeah, for the most part, I think there's not there's no ability for people to grow, for people to change. So people don't even feel comfortable expressing a difference in opinion because they just feel like I'm going to get attacked and then I'll never get a job again. Um,
We've
I
stripped
also do,
nuance.
huh? What did you say?
We've stripped nuance from like everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the things I love about being a researcher because you can take nothing after you go through like a significant amount of training, you realize you can take nothing for face value and everything has nuance. Nothing is black or white. Everything has gray.
And
So
and research is so interesting because you can make the research say what you want it to say.
yeah,
And for people who go, well, this is well researched. Yeah, I know. But here's something I learned about research. Shit, maybe in high school or early college, I can make my research back up my argument. And it can all be valid. And I can create another valid piece of literature that can get published that is totally one sided, telling the story that I want to tell. And you know this because when you're researching against a deadline, sometimes you get away
right.
from researching, allowing the research to build the product. And you go, here's the end state. Now let me get this research to make my end state. Because if I don't get this desired end state, I have more and more work that I have to do in order to get to where I actually want to be. But I got to get the fuck up out of school. I got to go to the next school. Or I got to go make this money.
Yeah. And published is also like with an abstract, right? Because what we find is, first off, most published research, the lay person, the average person does not have even access to. Okay. Like, unless you're attached to a school, it's going to be hard for you to actually gain access to articles in a general sense. You're not going to go on Google Scholar and see anything that you can see. Then, two, in terms of publishing, people don't publish their null results or like things that are not significant. They don't publish that, generally speaking. And also, if their hypothesis they find is incorrect, unless it's housed within a bunch of hypotheses that they're testing, they're not going to tell you that this was incorrect. So you're only seeing like a biased version of the field, if you can even see it. And we also find, we've talked like in research classes, it's kind of like, is this also wasting our own time, right? Because if you don't tell me what did not work, I too will make the same mistake and try to do the same thing. So if people were more transparent about like what works, what doesn't work, we probably could be faster. And even then, if you think like, I think it takes 17 years for once research is conduct research, to publish it, to get it out into like disseminate it, and then get it to impact policy in some way. It takes like 17 years. So by the time you actually do that, your research is also now dated. So we're constantly like, I feel like in this like cat and mouse game of like trying to chase to be up to date, or to give people, results that are actually that merit conversation. But it can be hard.
And to bring it down a little bit, you talked about people not showing their bad research. It's just like, or not even their bad research.
Just like research that goes nowhere. Like there's
research that goes nowhere. Like the shit where you actually do a bunch of learning, but it took you nowhere on your journey. It's just like when we take pictures. How often do we take pictures, and what do we actually post? There's a difference in what we actually live through life and what we take than what we're comfortable showing the world. And if we got more comfortable showing our ups, our downs, our flaws, and all of these different things that are part of life, I think that people will be more comfortable publishing something that didn't go anywhere. It's like, hey, look, I did all of this. I got all of this information. I did not get the information that I was looking for, but this will save you some time because you get to read this compilation of what I've put together instead of having to read all of these articles that I read to get nothing.